Hi guys, sorry for the delay. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can see you can if you can see me, you can hear me. Please let me know in the comment section. Can you? Am I live? I'm supposed to be live right now. Please, I'm live right now. Can you see me? Hi. Oh, can you see me now? I didn't click go live here. Can you see me? Can you hear me now? Let me know. If you're online, let me know in the comment section that you can see and you can hear me. And yes, we are live. We've been live for 1 minute. Okay, finally. This setup thing is wild. But we keep doing it until we're perfect, right? Sorry for the small delay. We had some technical issues. Yes. Welcome to this week's episode of Glow Into the Week. I'm Dr. Chimsom Ogu, your skin and confidence doctor, and I help you glow truly from inside out, not just your skin. Yes. Now, today we are talking about, something that may be controversial or that maybe many people won't agree with me on. A topic I've titled Broad Confidence. Remember that this month we are talking about becoming your authentic self, becoming authentic, your real self, finding a way to bring out that hidden part of you that you've been suppressing for so long. So, what do I mean by broad confidence? I mean when your confidence depends on things that can actually change based on your circumstances. You know, a lot of us appear like we're confident, but the truth is that their confidence is actually resting on something that is temporary, something that can disappear. Now, what happens to us when money, our title, or the way we look is actually what drives our confidence? What finally happens to you if any of those things disappear? Have you thought about that? And some of us, it's actually difficult for us to accept these things because, it's a sensitive thing to talk about. So when I say borrowed confidence, to define it, I'll say is confidence that is based on external things. Simply put, on money, who you are, your family's name, the achievements you've had, who you're married to, who your brother is, your relationships, and then validation from others. That's what I'll refer to as borrowed confidence. And the truth is that some of us are in this space and we don't want to. We don't want to actually reflect and tell ourselves the truth and, move away from that space. Now, what's the problem here? The truth is that anytime you build your identity on something that is superficial or something that you have the fear of losing, that means your identity is not stable. So it simply means that your confidence is more external and it is fragile. It is not real because if anything shifts your circumstances, who you are essentially disappears. What you are essentially disappears. You are no more what you thought you were because what you thought you were was based on possessions, relationship, etc. One of the things that a lot of us, base our confidence on, which actually gives a lot of people, majority of people, confidence is money. Yes, money can make you comfortable. Yes, it can make you happy, be able to get what you want, or happy temporarily, let me put it that way. But it should never determine your self worth. It should never define who you are. What happens when that money disappears? Because things happen to people, life happens. Does it mean that you will now start to hide and you can't actually show yourself and be? Does it mean that who you are has changed? No, that happens to some people. So the truth is, true confidence must go deeper than the amount in your bank account. As simple as that. A lot of us, you know, are in this space. Sometimes you even find yourself in that space unconsciously because you've not taken time to truly find out who you are without the things around you. And I think that it is linked to a lot of people's confidence is beauty. Ah, yes, beauty is good. It should actually complement your confidence, how confident you are. It should not actually create it. Because sometimes beauty is fleeting. Something can happen that you did not expect. For example, when it comes to skin, imagine that you're very beautiful and then all of a sudden you start having, for example, a skin condition you can't control. Maybe you start having vitiligo, or you have something like realize that, oh, you become an adult, you realize you have what something called neurofibromatosis. You can't do anything about it. So does it mean that you will stop being confident? Because the truth is that sometimes you can't help what happens to you, or maybe God forbid you get into a fire accident or something. Does that mean that you are no more who you thought you were? The truth is that if your confidence depends entirely on the way you look, it becomes a prison. It's because you start to compare yourself with others, and there's always going to be someone that looks slimmer than you, has a bigger, better shape, has a bigger, the whole BBL and things that people do now, bomb and all. There's always going to be somebody, no matter what you do to enhance yourself, somebody's going to walk in and have more than you have. And sometimes we're thinking, oh, this is what we need to have. Yeah, the person you're admiring is actually thinking that, oh, this person has what I need to have. So it depends on your perspective and where you are at a certain time in life. So the truth is that your beauty or how beautiful you are should not be what forms your identity and makes you confident, because it's going to fade, it's going to disappear. So don't be in that space. Another thing that gives people confidence is achievements. Those of us that are high achievers, it's easy for us to find ourselves in a space where we struggle with our self-worth because we only value ourselves when we succeed. So if high achievers find it difficult to take failure, they can't, you know, imagine themselves failing. So only one failure can break the person, and they start to believe, they're not good enough. So I will use myself as an example. I've been in that space. I failed an exam and I had to repeat a class at school, and that affected my whole, a whole part of my life because I felt like I wasn't good enough to continue in the path I already found myself in, because my self worth and identity was based on what validation, what people said about me, and then, the fact that I was going to be a certain type of doctor. But the truth is that since I have started to grow and become, a better version of myself, I've moved away from that space. Whether I fail, whether I don't, it's irrelevant. Yes, you fail, you cry, but it is what you do with the failure that is actually more important, not necessarily, what happened. So, if you're a high achiever, watch yourself and ask yourself, is my self worth based on the number of successes I have or number of things I, have achieved? Another thing that can give us confidence is validation. Yeah, I'll refer to it as a validation trap. Some of us feel valuable when other people praise us, when other people start to notice us, when other people give us compliments. Without that, we don't feel like we're good enough. So we are caught in the trap of always seeking for validation. We always say, oh, how do I look beautiful today? Oh, uh, uh, how do you think this? You like looking for other people's opinion on a matter just so that you feel good by about yourself. Now, the bad thing about this is that it creates dependence on external approval. And that's not a good thing. So, what if you find yourself in a situation where that external um, approval is not there or doesn't come? Does it mean that you lose everything? Does it mean that you're no longer going to show up as your confident self, as the way you are supposed to, as who you truly are? Bible tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We should always have that at the back of our mind. So, irrespective of how much money you have, how beautiful you are, who is clapping for you or not, when the Bible says you're something, you should be bold enough and confident enough to believe it and just move with that, not expecting other things, to make you feel like who you think you should be. Bible says also that we are God's workmanship. So that means He created us specially. He cut us out. So why do you look at yourself and feel like if they remove this thing or this fine cow, this that I can't be anything? I keep asking people, I always ask people this question. If they remove all your titles, all your degrees, or for example, maybe there's an earthquake or something happens, that's been extreme. And then you find yourself in a country where nobody knows you, you've lost all your certificates, you didn't come with anything, and you're just by yourself. Can you still stand? Can you still have the confidence to build something out of nothing? If you can't answer that question, then there's a problem. Today I was looking at someone's status and I saw, they were talking about Elon Musk, the way he lives in a modest apartment, in a small apartment that costs less than $50,000, and he's the only trillionaire in the world. So what I got from that was that this man has separated himself from whatever his wealth is going to bring him the extent. So his bigger goal is to, you know, drive technology. So that's what drives him. What he created, what he has inside him, the technology that he has created and he has, helped to move forward. That is what is driving. So his drive is external. So I want to tell you something that if you remove Elon Musk and remove everything around him, he will still thrive and get to where he's supposed to be because he doesn't feel the need to use those external things, to validate who he is, and he's sure of what he wants for himself. So when we stop, putting our what we believe about ourselves on material things, we realize that we start to aspire for bigger things that are more meaningful, things that will actually change what. In fact, I also saw something. When you're always in a place where if you catch yourself saying things like, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who my father is?" Those statements. You're quarreling with somebody, or somebody drives with of you. How dare you talk to me? Do you know who I am? If you say that, if you catch yourself saying that, you're in that space. Who you are or what you think you own is actually what is driving your confidence. So without those things, can you still show your face and say what you have to say? Yeah, this may be a hard topic for some people because sometimes we don't want to evaluate ourselves and see that we're doing something good or something bad. We don't want to tell ourselves the truth. Sometimes, yeah, I may still find myself, I still struggle to, move away from this because humility is something that you have to strive for every day. And sometimes it's not easy to find yourself, to attain that. Unconsciously, it takes a lot of work to get to this space where you know who you are, irrespective of what is around you, who is around you, what people think about you, or where you are. It's a powerful place to be. So let's give an example from the Bible. Let's say David, he became king. God had already chosen him. You understand? But the truth is that when you listen to see David's story, his identity actually came before his position, and he owned it. So before he even became the king that he became, he had already started acting like a leader, acting like a king, irrespective of what was in the bank account. He was already leading. The way he led his sheep, protected them, he was already doing those things without even being king. So it wasn't the becoming the king that was the issue. It was him knowing who he was even before he attained the title of king. Now, what are signs that you have broad confidence? You find yourself always in a space where you constantly compare yourself to others. You're always afraid of what, hey God, this what will people think? This thing has destroyed a lot of people. It has stopped a lot of people from seeking the help that they need. It has spoiled a lot of things because you're always asking yourself, do I do this? What will people think? What will people think is a problem. You're afraid of people criticizing you because you don't actually know who you are. So what they think is what shapes who you are. So you want validation instead of criticism. You're so dependent on praise. You want to someone say, thank you. This is you did this thing so well, you did that. Always when you come into a space, you always feel like you're less, you're not as valuable as people around you. When you have struggles, it makes you feel as if you shouldn't be doing what you're currently doing. Those are signs that you have to examine what is giving you the confidence that you currently have. So, how do you build real confidence? You need to, number one, build your character. No matter how beautiful you are, how much money you have, if your character is not right, then it can destroy every other thing around you. You have to build your faith, no matter what. If you're Christian, Muslim, work on that, and then you have to purposely discover what you your purpose is. The truth is that some of us are already working our purpose, but lack of confidence is not letting us identify it and even see it, or even come out and show people what we do. We have to also take time to evaluate and write down our values. What is it? What do you believe in? What don't you believe in? Things like that. We also have to deliberately take action to grow because you can't become what you don't know. So you read books, attend courses. I'll tell you something, I can pay any amount for a course that is going to help me grow or become better than I was yesterday. We also have to consciously be aware of who we are. Self awareness is an underrated thing that a lot of us are not even aware of who we are. Like we don't have that self awareness of where we are supposed to be, who we are at a certain time. So this week, I want you to take time and then reflect. What exactly is my confidence built on? Who am I outside my achievements, outside my status, things like that? Think about it. Now, let me give you affirmations for the week. Every morning this week, look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, my worth is not determined by money. My value is not based on appearance. I am enough. I want you to go out this week and build your identity on things that cannot be taken away from you. Things like faith, things like your character, you know, things like your self worth. It's very important because if you don't do that, what if those things are taken away? What next? So, to close, I'll tell you that bold confidence disappears when your circumstances change. But however, real confidence remains because it is rooted from within, deep within. I want to say thank you for joining me today. Make sure you subscribe and like and share to someone that may benefit from this message. I'm Dr. Chimsom Ogu. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm your skin and confidence doctor. I help you glow truly from inside out. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye.